thousands of years ago, they were Apollo, Zeus, Ares. Now they are Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the other heroes and villains of DC and Marvel Comics. Join us every week as we discuss the legendary stories, characters, concepts, and other parts of comics as we examine the modern pantheon of heroes. Let's get heroic. Welcome to Under Two Capes, the podcast for the comic book fan. Welcome to Knights of Mandalore. I am your host, Jared, and we're going to do a deep dive episode today, going straight into Mandalorian culture and such. And as such, I've invited a good friend of mine who is a Mandalorian expert, you could say, my friend Charlotte. Say hi, Charlotte.
Hi.
All right. So, Charlotte, what have you got for us today?
I think one of the big things that really most easily encapsulates Mandalorian culture is the Rezulnair, which is the six tenets that all Mandos are expected to follow, kind of like a creed, but more like a way of life. And it encapsulates education, armor, self-defense, clan, language, and leader.
Sweet.
Which is 6. We're good. It's 6.
So is that what they mean in Mando whenever they go, this is the way?
I would say yes, and most Mandos, depending on the era, would probably agree with that statement, but the way it's spoken in the show kind of implies a lot more of a culty mindset than most Mandos would probably feel comfortable with.
Really?
Most Mandos are religious, but not in that way.
Okay. It's not like Death Watch and all that.
No, the Death Watch are extremists, just like the the Neo Crusaders were extremists. And points can be argued for both of them technically being Darmanda, which is soulless, which is what happens when you don't follow the Rezulnair.
Are the Crusaders the ones in Knights of the Old Republic?
In KOTOR, yes, but they're the Neo Crusaders. The early Crusaders are a whole different.
Okay.
The early Crusaders we like. The Neo Crusaders are just awful.
Okay. Very well said, Charlotte. All right, so what else you got? Let's see.
Well, the first point of the Rezulnair is education, which kind of ties into the fact that Mandos generally they're not expected to increase their numbers solely by, reproduction. They mostly tend to adopt or just take people in.
It's like a foundling.
Yeah, the Neo Crusaders did a thing where basically if they took over your area, you could either join them or die. Which is, I'm sure, was a great motivation for everyone.
I'm sure that's a really hard choice.
Oh, I'm sure. But in more modern eras, it was a lot more along the lines of the Mandos have a very saying, clan is more than blood.
Okay.
Essentially, as soon as someone's been adopted into the clan, they are completely indistinguishable from someone that's clan born.
Okay.
For all intents and purposes, they were there the whole time.
Okay, that's interesting.
However, the education thing also ties into the fact that you're supposed to raise your children as Mandalorians. If you do not do that, you will probably immediately get kicked out.
Okay.
That's simply not an option. You're not allowed to marry outside the clans. You're not even really allowed to date anyone that isn't planning on becoming a Mandalorian.
Jeez. It's like the Jedi Council here.
Oh yeah, no, they're actually really, really if you're trying to marry someone from another clan, you're going to have to get both of your allures together to chat out who's joining which clan. It really does turn into it's not even really a political thing, because as much as, obviously everybody in the clan is unique, members of the clan are generally, the clan won't be destroyed if one person goes to another clan.
Yeah,
It's really not the end of the world. But they're going to have to hash out exactly who's going where and what's happening with the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
So raising your children as Mandalorians is incredibly important. And that also ties into the way that they're educated, which usually results in both the men and the women have to be able to fight very well, because the women are in charge of education until the kids are 8. And an 8-year-old kid is expected to be able to kick ass just as much as everyone else.
So pretty much it's like Agent Sparta?
I mean, a little less...
To a degree?
A little less torture-y.
Okay, yeah. I definitely detect
like
that.
The same point of view, but nicer.
Yeah.
The results are the same.
Yeah. You still get to race the badasses, so it doesn't really
exactly. But that also means that they take in a lot of people from even other species and all that. None of that matters.
Which is hilarious, because in the Star Wars shows we've seen, every time we've seen Mandalorians, I have never seen anyone short of the armor that didn't have the human style helmet.
So the reasoning for that, and we have seen in comics and in a few other things, we've seen some Twi'lek Mandalorians.
Okay.
That have extra tubes coming out the back of their helmet with the Leku coming out. In general, I mean, most species do have generally humanoid heads.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
But there's also the fact that the original Mandalorians were not human.
Oh, yeah.
The original Mandalorians were the natives of Coruscant.
Oh, really?
Yes, there were 2 races originally on Coruscant. There was the Tong, which were the Mandalorians, and the other ones are, I forget their names exactly. Anyway, they fought a lot. They just world-spanning war. They wrote an epic poem about it that's 400 verses long, and canonically, only one part of it has ever actually been deciphered because nobody knows how to read Notran Cant anymore.
Of course.
And it's a really good poem, actually.
So you've actually checked it out?
I used to know most of it.
Oh, geez.
But, well, the reason why I know most of it is most of it was repurposed for Republic Commando.
Oh, is that the soundtrack?
The singing.
That's the soundtrack?
That big chanting. They replaced some stuff, like the Coruscant bit obviously changes, and instead of Republic, they've got Mandalore.
Oh, geez, that's so cool.
But that is kind of the basis of a portion of Chapter 10 of Dawar de Verda.
No wonder that song is so badass.
Oh, yeah, no, they didn't make that up. So that was the original, and that was what the main epic poem that encompassed the Tong. But the Tong actually looked very different from human. They had very simian features. They kind of the Voldemort nose, like really flat with the slits, and kind of vaguely triangular faces. I believe the original Helm of Mandalore belonged to the first Tong.
Really?
Well, belonged.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's a Tong.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it, people.
Yeah, so it's
Wow.
as you can see,
way
the
different.
helmet has changed dramatically. So the primary reason why there's so many humans why Mandalorians are so often human, mostly has to do with the fact that humans have their fingers in a lot of pies in the galaxy, and most other species tend to be a lot more insular.
Okay.
For example, the Togruta would be able to get along very well within Mandalorian culture. I'm sure it would work out fine. They're a little more tribal, but other than that, they've got some pretty similar, ideals. But on the other hand, they like to stay in their tribe and not bother anyone else, which means that they're not really inclined to join this random army over there.
Even if they happen to have some kick-ass armor.
I mean, honestly, I think the armor would be... Togruta are very fragile.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. Anyone shows up and says, okay, I want you to join the Mandalorians. You got to join us or die. I'm just like, you had me at Mandalorians.
Well, that brings us nicely into the second point of the Rezolner, which is Beskar armor.
Okay.
And the armor is, without getting into the actual metal, because to be honest, I'm not quite sure what it is that makes working Beskar. Well, no, I know why it's so strong. I mean, it's just a particularly strong metal. That's fine. But apparently, only Mandalorian smiths know how to work.
Okay,
Beskar. That's the big problem.
That's why in Mandalorian, the Beskar was not refined up until the point he brought it to
It
the
was
armor.
refined.
I mean, it wasn't like
But yeah, it
used
wasn't.
until
Yeah.
it went to the
Now,
armor.
the thing with that is I don't really know why that is. Like, what is the secret? Because at the end of the day, you've got a whole galaxy probably trying to figure out how to get armor this strong.
I'm sure
They
someone
clearly
have
have access to this material, and I mean, there's only so many different ways you can work with metal. Metal is very simple.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a canon reason. I do not know what that
Mm-hmm.
canon reason is. However, the
Don't
armor
worry.
doesn't even have so much to do with the metal used, although obviously that's preferred.
Mm-hmm.
It's more that the wearing of armor is an outward representation of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And souls are really, really important for Mandos. They spiritually, they believe in a thing called the Mando, which is a collective soul.
Yeah.
So every Mando has a part of this collective soul, and when they die, that soul rejoins the collective. Which I don't think is really a belief in an afterlife per se, but clearly they've got an idea that there is something. And your armor is kind of proof of that.
Okay.
If you do not keep your armor in tip-top shape, obviously that's incredibly disrespectful.
It's not going to work out very well for you.
But also, if your armor gets taken from you by an enemy or, God forbid, by your clan, if they decide that you're no longer worthy to wear it, that is essentially saying not only are you not one of us, but on top of that, you have lost your right to be considered a person.
Which I guess is why Fett was so like hell-bent on retrieving his armor in season 2.
I'm not sure how much Fett really counts as a proper Mando. If only because there's a lot of the Rezilnair he doesn't follow. And there's also, I don't think he was really raised that much within it. Like Jango, I think, yeah, Mando.
Yeah, he was.
But
because
there's
he was a
only
foundling.
so much that Boba really learned from that, especially considering how soon Jango died.
That's true.
And then he was on his own with a bunch of other bounty hunters.
Yeah. What's the rules concerning being a bounty hunter? Because it seems like most Mandalorians are bounty hunters at some point.
Okay, so there's a few things with that. First of all, that bounty hunting is generally a thing that people who are well armored and very good at defending themselves would be pretty good at.
Yeah.
However, the main thing is that everybody, this is later on in the Rezilnair, but one of them is clan, and it's not just honoring your clan, it is providing for and defending your clan.
Okay.
Everybody has to provide in some way. That can be just hanging out at camp and cooking for everyone. That's an option. You don't need to be fighting. But for a lot of people, especially since Mandalore got kind of destroyed, we don't talk about that.
Space genocide! Space genocide!
They kind of did it to themselves.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
So just in general, since they have a tendency to kind of stay in places that aren't necessarily so great for settling down and farming, it's kind of important to bring in credits.
Yeah, I guess.
And to be able to continue supporting the clan. And bounty hunting is just a really good way of doing that. Especially since Mandos have, at this point, a reputation for being good bounty hunters. So at that point, it's even easier to just break into that, because as soon as you've got a T-visor and a chest diamond, everyone knows this guy's good at killing stuff.
Yeah. At that point, you pretty much proved yourself. You're
exactly.
Like, okay.
So it just becomes a lot easier to do. There are, I believe, the early Crusaders weren't like that. The bounty hunting really took off after the Neo Crusaders finished. The early Crusaders were a lot more into just like big game hunting. They were very tribal. Most of their armor was, there was Beskar sometimes, but most of it was bone.
Okay.
They wore a lot of bone. But also they spent a very large amount of their time hunting dragons the size of cities. So, they were busy. Dragon. No, the Mythosaur.
Oh, it's that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the
Because it
I've
seems
yet
like
to see a picture that does them justice, but they're
yeah, I know.
huge.
Yeah, because I kind of figured that they were like really close to Mando culture because wherever you go, it's like plastered on a wall.
The Mandalorians are single-handedly responsible for the extinction of the Mythosaur.
Oh my gosh!
And they are in fact very proud of this fact.
Yeah, you know what we're happy about? Putting a race of dragons on the endangered species list and then killing them.
I mean, to be fair, we're talking about a species of dragon that if it turned around the wrong way, it could kill everyone you've ever met.
That's fair point. Fair point.
But I mean, Mandos have not often really taken the moral high ground on that point. For them, hunting a mythosaur was just a thing you did for glory. And you know what? If they were stronger, they wouldn't have died, huh?
This is the way.
This is the way. So yeah, there's the armor bit, and obviously the armor's sufficiently protective.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got self-defense followed by clan.
Okay.
And those kind of tie into each other, which is why I bring them up together.
I would imagine that. Mm-hmm.
But self-defense basically in this particular sense means you are willing to throw hands with anybody that threatens you.
Yeah, I noticed
for
that.
any reason.
Mm-hmm.
Threatens you, your honor, your family, your clan, or anyone under your protection.
Okay, there you go. That's why
which is
Mando's
most people.
Always getting into fights. So pretty much, if they even approach you, pretty much, you're good to go. Just go ahead and blast them.
Well, no. Generally, they wait till you at least draw a blaster on them. Then they shoot.
No, I'm saying you could be approaching someone with a very mean look, and he's like, "Oh boy, he's coming at me."
I don't. Your self-control is stressed a great deal in Mandalorian education, probably for that reason. Because there's also, most Mandos have a very strong sentiment of, they're aware that whenever they're wearing their armor, they speak for every Mando.
Okay.
If they do something bad, then everybody that sees that is going to pin that on all Mandos. Because generally, you don't see their faces. You can't pin it on a person.
Yeah.
All you can pin it on is the T-visor. So they tend to try to be pretty well behaved.
I'd imagine.
Try.
Try. Not always. Try.
Anybody that's raised with this sense of you need to fight to defend will generally have a bit of a shorter fuse.
I'd imagine that.
On any matter that they consider generally insulting to their beliefs.
Oh, yeah.
So some probably have a better track record than others.
Because it seemed like Din was constantly being shot at or getting into fights himself.
I mean, yeah, but he's also a bounty hunter.
Well, that's true.
It's just kind of in the job description.
That's true.
But so there's that, and then there's also the question of clan, which is, it still ties back into the adoption bit, really. That clan is more important than anything. The rest of the galaxy can burn. You watch out for your clan. Obviously, if the clan's okay, you watch out for the rest of the galaxy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, final loyalty goes to your clan.
Of course.
So I know for example, there's a lot of bounty hunters that, will do work for the Empire, stuff like that, especially in the Old Republic era. And all of that, they'll work for you if you pay them until something else comes up.
Of course.
And of course, there is a question of honor that, if they've taken a job, they're either going to tell you when they stop working on it, like, hey, I can't do this. Here's why. Here's your money back. They'll be honest about it. But at the end of the day, if you tell a Mando to go attack another Mando,
not going to happen.
Your days are numbered because they will come back with more.
So in other words, don't try and pit two Mandos against each other.
I mean, unless they're from rival clans, some clans don't like each other.
It's like, fine. It's like, go ahead. It's about every Tuesday at the JOB.
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is, you shouldn't have to pay a Mando to go up against another Mando. Either they were going to do it for free anyway, or they're not going to listen to you. So, there's definitely that. And then there is the last two, which is language and leader's its own thing. But language is vitally important to their culture. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier. The Mandalorian language has a lot of words in it that don't translate very easily into English.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my favorite single words in Mandoa is Sherashoy, which is a single word that seems to encompass like 5 different concepts.
Mm-hmm.
It best translates to a lust for life.
Okay, that's interesting.
It comes from Oya, which means let's hunt, but it's kind of more like a hoorah kind of thing. It's just like something you yell.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. So Oya is one of those, and then share, I think, is another. There's a whole. It encompasses so much, and it's basically the concept of you could die at any second, and you'd better enjoy everything that the world throws at you. Like it encompasses a gratefulness and an enjoyment and just so many things. Like I don't know how to say it in English.
All right. It's complicated. You can just say that.
It's a very important word.
Okay.
And there's a lot of things like that. One of my favorite Mandalorian insults is I keep forgetting the way that it's said in Mando. I'll have to look it up. But it translates to all helmet, no head. Which is what you say about a commanding officer with an overinflated sense of authority.
So in other words, all commanding officers, pretty much.
Well, okay, the Mando hierarchy is if your commander dies in the field, literally whoever else has a better idea gets to be the leader, really.
It's like,
they don't really have a hierarchy so much. Like, okay, you have your clan, and your clan is headed by the Allure, but...
Okay, Mandalore, I got it.
No,
okay.
Well, no. Your clan is headed by the Allure, and Allure and Mandalore is a whole nother topic.
Okay.
Mandalore stands above the clans.
Okay.
But within your clan, you've got basically the clan chief. That's your Allure.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of in charge of everything.
Okay.
On the other hand, it's not like it's a hereditary office or anything. No one votes.
Mm-hmm. This is not
the only way you become an Allure. Either you defeat the previous Allure in combat.
Let's do this.
Which is an option, especially if your Allure is starting to get maybe a little senile or he's making some really bad decisions. You know, there's a lot of
Although
options.
You could die if you go with that option.
I mean, if he's getting a little senile, your odds of survival are pretty high.
Pretty high, yeah.
Although there is something to be said for the fact that I think the average life expectancy for Mandos is like 60. They don't tend to live incredibly long.
Well, judging by how close they are with combat, I'd imagine that's probably
I think the reason for that average is because the ones that live long live very long.
Okay.
But most people don't live long. Like, I think probably if you've passed 50, odds are you're going to live to 90. It's getting to 50 that's a problem.
That's the gamble. That's the gamble.
So it's definitely, there's a lot of that. And the language is something that the other reason for the language is because the language is the original language of the Tong species.
Okay.
The Tong are extinct. There are no Tong left.
No wonder I've nenever seen them before.
So and they have been extinct. Like by the time the Neo Crusaders came along, I think they were already extinct. Because the early Crusaders were the last of the Tong. And then that was that. So when they speak the language, that is technically their last remaining tie to the original Mandalorians.
Really?
That's all they've got.
Wow.
Especially since the Helm of Mandalore is lost, and that was the last piece of armor known to belong to a Tong. So that's it.
So obviously it's important to their culture.
It's incredibly important. It's if we were in the Star Wars universe right now, and you started speaking Mandoa, the nearest Mando would immediately punch you in the face.
Unless, of course, I was a Mando.
Well, yes, obviously.
Okay, wow.
But if you were not a Mando, like, probably learning a few words here and there would be fine. It probably would largely depend on how you approached it, But in general, their language is not just important, it is sacred.
Okay.
So you can't just run around speaking Mandoa to anyone you please. It's an in-group kind of thing.
Question, can anyone off the street just show up and say, I want to become a Mandalorian?
I would say it depends on the clan.
Okay.
Some clans are going to most, in theory, yes.
Okay.
Obviously, they're not going to make you a Mandalorian right on the spot.
No,
you're
you
going
just
to have to prove yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be trained. But, I mean, obviously, there's going to be some clans that are just like, we don't know you. But in general, mostly, yeah, actually. You could just show up and they'd put you through your paces just like they'd put all the children through their paces.
Dope. Okay, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, that would definitely be an option. It's, I do wonder kind of how that would work in theory. But I think it wouldn't be something they'd refuse.
Wasn't that in the Old Republic where your character can actually just join a Mandalorian clan?
Right, but the Mandalore at the time offers.
Okay.
You don't ask.
Okay.
It's after you win the Great Hunt that he offers.
Okay.
So I think it's more a question of being able to track down, because there aren't that many Mandalorians.
Which is why it took Din forever to find.
I mean,
Bo-Katan.
especially in this era, there's almost no Mandalorians.
Yeah.
But even in the Old Republic, there weren't that many.
Yeah, they weren't that like easy to find.
There
in Knights
used
of
to
the
be a
Republic.
lot more clans too.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be way more clans.
Was that just a result of the Mandalorian Wars that like most of them got wiped out?
Well, the Mandalorian Wars is kind of curious because that's where we get to the final point of the Rezilnair, which is Mandalore.
Mm-hmm.
Mandalore is kind of, I mean, he's just the head honcho, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
He is the guy in charge. And in general, that doesn't really mean much.
Okay.
Because you can go about your business for your entire life with your clan, with your allure, and never hear of Mandalore.
Mm-hmm.
However, when Mandalore calls, you answer.
Okay.
There are no other options. If you refuse, you lose your soul. That's it.
Okay.
So when Mandalore the Ultimate shows up and starts, destroying a bunch of stuff.
They're like, okay, we gotta go.
There were a lot of early Crusaders who said no.
Mm-hmm.
And they became Darmonda. And
Okay.
that was the end of that. So that's kind of the ugly part of Mando culture, which is that it doesn't matter if Mandalore is wrong. What matters is that you obey him. Or her. Could be her. Who knows?
Could be. Because it got to the point. Let me ask you this: it seemed to me that the armorer was like the allure of that covert from Mando season 1.
What's interesting there is that they did not seem to be a clan because they all had different clans. We had a Vizsla there, and then Din's kind of got his own clan now.
Yeah, Jaren, yeah.
So I think there's probably something there, well, especially since most Mandos have been wiped out at this point,
with the purge,
that they can't really join up on clan lines, because how many Vizslas are there left, really?
Probably not.
Just
that
the
much.
one. I think canonically, it's just him.
That's it?
Yeah, he's the last Vizsla, I think. That's what I heard.
Oh,
anyway.
yeah, Pre was killed by Maul and Mando.
Which means, how are you going to have a clan?
You have to start recruiting people.
There's so few left.
Recruiting people, or just
They just
spread
get
your
hunted
seed
down.
places.
They just get hunted down.
Which is kind of what happened.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to that, they're kind of... I don't think they really have the option of forming a clan anymore. Or other option, because we did note that the Death Watch did not operate as clans.
Yeah, they didn't.
There were people from many different clans operating under one leader.
Even Bo-Katan, because here's the thing about Bo-Katan. I originally thought that those other two Mandos that were with her were part of her clan simply because they had the same color armor.
No.
Okay.
No. Bo-Katan is from Clan Kryz.
Mm-hmm.
That's her clan. And I don't know what the others are doing.
Yeah, all right.
We don't get to see a lot of Clan Kryz.
Yeah.
We get to the most we really get to see is a fair amount of Clan Ren. In Rebels, but that's about it. But we do know that the Death Watch doesn't operate under that, and we also know that Din's cult, for lack of a better word, is the Children of the Watch. So I wonder where they got that.
So you think they are
D-Watch.
Yes,
Oh.
I would say so.
Yeah, it seemed to me. Although I mean, it's kind of weird because if you notice, the Mandos in Clone Wars that were part of D-Watch were kind of like they had like the same armor color and everything, but when
Yeah.
you see them in Mando, it's like everyone's different.
I think what we get there also is this isn't properly the Death Watch anymore.
Oh, that's true.
What it looked like to me the first time I saw it, before we even got to season 2 and saw the whole, like, actually heard from Bo-Katan what the actual perspective was.
Yeah.
I remember having a discussion with the guy I was watching it with that what this looks like is a few stragglers after a genocide clinging to any part of their culture they can keep alive. And the only thing you really get out of that is extremism.
That makes sense.
So they're not so interested in reclaiming the Death Watch. They're interested in building up the children of Mandalore in any way they can. I don't think they have the time, the resources, or the inclination to start quibbling over people's armor colors at this point.
Okay.
I just don't think it's really high up on their list of priorities. Although I do think it's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is.
Because the armor colors also have meaning.
I thought that was just the way the armor is like hammered and like and processed and turned into armor pieces, that eventually that's how it gets to the color.
No, it's painted.
Oh, really?
It's painted over. And the colors are supposed to be very important. Well, except, the Neo-Crusaders messed that up too, because they mess up everything. But
oh, jeez.
I have a bone to pick with Cassius Fett, okay? I'm sorry. But the Neo-Crusaders put their armor colors as rank signifiers.
Okay, I see that.
That was their thing. Pretty much everyone else agreed that was a bad idea. And your armor color is something that you choose and something that is specific to you. Like green is... No, orange is Sherishoi. That's that one. Green is duty and blue is loyalty. I think could be the other way around.
What about chrome?
That's the thing. Chrome isn't really a color.
Oh yeah,
that's the bare metal.
Yeah.
So Din doesn't have any colors.
Oh, he doesn't have that yet. So.
I'm a little mad about it.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, he kind of had it in his old suit, but that was like not really a consistent.
Well, the other thing is
scheme.
there's a lot of colors that are kind of like that fans have just kind of made up at this point. We only have a few that are like properly, via Karen Travis, we know what these colors mean.
Yeah.
And I think we only have like 7 or so of those. We've got, yeah, it's not a lot of them.
And we know that with Disney, they're not going to show any part of the Star Wars canon that people care about in any respect.
I think they will.
Now they're starting to figure it out. Yeah.
I think they learned their lesson.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I'm going to give them another chance. All I want is a Mandalorian, like Clone Wars style TV show. Give me that.
I mean,
not Mandalorian. I mean, like Knights of the Old Republic.
I mean, yeah, obviously.
Because then it canonizes my favorite Star Wars character of all time, Darth Revan.
Well, yeah. I personally think Revan would probably work better as a 3-movie series.
Probably, yeah.
I think that would work really well.
But how would you do the 3 movies? Because he's only Revan in one game, and then he goes missing. That would be movie 2 is the missing part because they have the book. What would movie 3 be? Or probably him waking up and having that dual body experience in Knights of the Republic, maybe.
As far as I remember, he returns. I did not play KOTOR 1 or 2 because I'm a filthy casual. I'm aware of this. Shun me.
I have to change that. Because interesting, what I was just thinking of is that the Mandos in KOTOR 1 and 2, more so 2, because we actually see a Mandalorian, like, I'm not sure if they're a clan, but they're like a small group of them, and they have the armor colors that signify like rank. Yeah. It's like they have blue, red, gold, and then Mandalore.
I know a fair amount about KOTOR at this point from all my research, even though I haven't played it. And I do recall that even among the Neo-Crusaders, they did have clans still. It's just, it was a lot more of a regimented military than clans were originally meant to be.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I wasn't sure if they were all clan Ordo, because I know Mandalore was Ordo.
Yeah.
In fact, he was also Candrius Ordo. So it didn't dawn on me until like a few years playing the game. I'm like, why does your voice sound so familiar? Oh my gosh, it's you. It's you do with the giant gun. That's all.
I mean,
But what's interesting is that when you see Candrius Ordo in KOTOR 1, I didn't originally know he was Mandalore because he's not wearing any armor.
yeah.
Which seems kind of odd. Like, did he like get shunned from a clan or something like that?
I
or-
wouldn't think so. You are not required to always wear your armor.
Okay, so it's
And the no
not like a
removing
Mando.
See, especially the helmet thing. The no removing your helmet thing was the thing that kind of annoyed me the
Me
first
too.
time around.
I was like, wait a second, Bo-Katan. What are you talking about?
Because their helmet removal, what that means, you're supposed to remove your helmet
Okay.
around the people you trust.
That's
So
it's a sign of trust.
I am trusting that you're not about to shoot me in the head right now.
Okay.
That's important.
Mm-hmm.
And there are plenty of reasons why a Mando wouldn't be wearing their armor at any given moment.
Undercover, but it doesn't.
I don't see a Mando going undercover
Yeah, I was
because
about to
that
say
sounds
that.
inherently dishonorable.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, they're more of the kicking in the door and just gonna shoot people in the face.
It's definitely not something that they would probably go for. But I'm sure there's plenty of other reasons. It's not really.
It's probably like I don't want to be in my armor for so long. It's hot on this planet.
Yeah. Although I'm pretty sure actually their armor contains a fair amount of temperature control
I'd imagine that.
elements.
Yeah.
I mean, even like in the real world with Mando armor,
Mhm.
there's like minimum 2 fans in the helmet
I'd imagine.
because otherwise I would die.
Although they probably have to be really small helmets because there's not a lot of, really small fans because there's not a lot of space in that helmet.
Oh well, you've actually got, because the helmet's supposed to reach here to here, so you've actually got like about that much space on either side. And all the way around the top because you've got foam in the top and on the sides
Okay, that makes
to fill
sense.
in that gap. So you've got room for the fans.
Speaking of helmets, what's the deal with the armor from KOTOR? It looks very like the helmet kind of goes like this.
Oh, you mean the Neo Crusader?
Yeah.
Like they've got that weird thing.
Why is there a difference or anything like that?
I do not know.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure because there's no set Mandalorian helmet.
Okay, so
the
there's
only thing that
you
is
get
required is the T visor or sometimes a Y visor, because that's a callback to the Tong physiology that you can, if you saw the picture at the time, they've kind of already got that.
Yeah, which is weird considering that for a combat race, for like a race that like loves battle and everything, it seems like they would do a lot of their gear to optimize for combat. The T visor kind of looks kind of weird to like see and have good visibility.
Actually, the helmets that I have, T visor goes up to around here, and you can see everything.
Oh, okay.
I have no problems with visibility with my helmet.
Okay. Oh yeah, is Charlotte's an actual Mando? I forgot to mention that.
Not official yet.
What's the deal with the jetpack? Because it seemed in Mando season 1 that was like a cultural thing too.
I don't think it is.
When
there is something to be said.
Gives it to him, yeah.
There is something to be said for the Tong's original main battle tactic was they had these giant flying monsters that they would ride into battle. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was something about that. But I think the main point is that, Mandos like to have the edge in a fight, and jetpacks are cool.
I originally thought the jetpack came out of the idea because who were they fighting in the Mandalorian Wars? They had to get distance, otherwise they get chopped up by a lightsaber.
I mean, yeah, but also you can just force pull them.
Oh, that's true.
I don't think the jetpack... I mean, let's be honest, the only real way to kill a Jedi is, like, just a sonic grenade.
Yeah.
Or shoot them with an actual slug thrower.
Or like a buddy of mine did in Battlefront 1 before he could play as Jedi, he just threw an EMP grenade and knocked him off a cliff.
Yeah, well, actually, anything that... Because the thing the Mandalorians learned very quickly was that in order to use the Force, a Jedi needs to focus.
Oh, okay, so don't let them focus.
If you can break up their focus, they are essentially helpless because most of them have not been trained to shoot blasters.
I detected that.
So that's why they use sonic grenades or things that are very loud, or landmines, anything with a lot of light, sound, and explosions.
Whispering birds and all that, because that seemed to me when I saw it.
Whispering birds would be a big problem for Jedi.
Well, that's true.
They can deflect
If
blaster
it's-
bolts. What's the difference?
Yeah, but I'm just saying there's like a lot, there's like a swarm coming at you at once, but it's
Same
probably
with
not
blasters.
that easy. So another question. So what was the Mandalorian perception of Revan back during the Mandalorian Wars?
I don't know all that much about what the perception was. If I were to hazard a guess, I would say the Mandalorians were probably quite contentedly conquering half the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And they were probably just annoyed. I mean, more than annoyed, but mostly just, what is this random Jedi doing, poking his nose into our business?
And he seems to be killing us.
I mean, you have to defend your clan, right?
Mm-hmm. How did he get the mask?
I do not know.
Because I thought what actually happened is that he killed a Mandalorian. I'm not sure if it was like I'm not sure what rank it was, but he killed it and said, "Until I defeat the Mandalorians, I'm not taking off this mask."
Let's see.
Once again, I feel like if Disney did another trilogy of movies based on Revan, that'd be great because he's an interesting character if they decided to really embark on that.
He just found it on Cathar.
All right. I just found it.
He just randomly
Mine.
found it, picked it up.
Dibs. He just throws it on. All right, so
Yeah.
let's see what others.
Although Cathar was
You want to go
I
into
have
detail
a
on that?
soft spot for Cathar. I really do.
You want to go into that?
I really don't. I don't think I'd be able to keep it civil.
So it was bad?
Do you know why they attacked Cathar?
No.
Because they heard about this race of tribal warriors and were like, oh, this sounds like a great way to prove our might.
Oh,
So you know what they did? Instead of actually engaging them in honorable combat, they bombed the whole planet from orbit.
That's
And
not
then
honorable.
they sent in death squads to kill all the civilians while they were at it.
That's not honorable. What are you talking about?
You see why
We're
I have
talking
a
about
problem
honor.
with Cass's Fett.
Well, what? She's the one who ordered that, or he, or
Yeah, that was that. Cathar was him.
Oh, my
And that is why Cathar are all but extinct and their homeworld is a ruin.
that just seems like the complete opposite of what Mandalorians would actually do. They'd be like,
Well,
you
you
think
see
if they're
why
tribal
Red-
warriors, they'd be like, okay, you know what? Let's go fight these people. Let's get down there.
But what they wanted was the prestige of having taken out another warrior race without having to put in the work to take out another
Yeah, I'm like,
warrior
this
race.
cheating.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was cheating, plain and simple. But you can see there was that, and then there was Terrace. You see why Revan had to get involved.
Terrace, or I'm sorry, what?
Well, Cathar happened,
Yeah.
and then they attacked Terrace
Mm-hmm.
and
They
kind of
did.
made a ruin of that world as well. And that was much, much closer to the seat of the Empire.
Okay.
You see, and during this whole time, Revan, as far as I, again, haven't played the game, but from what I've heard,
Mhm.
Revan was
I have, so I
essentially
can answer.
telling the council the whole time, hey, so we're going to do something about
Yeah,
this, right?
What happened that I remember, because I had played both games like 80,000 times, is that what happened was Revan and Malik go before the council and say, hey, these guys are killing us, or like killing innocent people. This is our job as Jedi. We have to get involved
Right,
in
and
this.
the council was
And the Jedi
quibbling
Council.
about failing to make any meaningful reform, and then
So
they
in other
decided,
words-
fine, we'll do our own
so-
thing.
What's kind of funny is I'm reading that, I'm like, the council hasn't changed.
The
Jeez,
council
they
hasn't
never changed. So eventually Revan was like, screw it. Who wants to come with me and go kill some Mandalorians? Like a lot of you? All right, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of problems with the Jedi Order as a whole. I
Yeah.
have problems with their philosophy.
They're
I have
too
problems with
absolutist.
their. I don't even think that they're too absolutist. I think that they're so busy trying to look like noble monks that they don't
Holding it out.
actually. They seem to care a lot more about their principles than they do about people.
That's why, personally, where I fall on the Jedi Sith debate is that neither one's right.
I would argue that the Sith are far more correct.
More correct, but I'd say they're kind of more on. I mean,
The Sith method results in a lot of bloodshed, but
Yeah.
it does work.
does work. I'll give you that.
The Jedi method
No, it
doesn't have it doesn't have as much bloodshed. I mean, I would argue it has exactly the same amount of bloodshed
Yeah.
because other people will inevitably show up to attack.
Mhm.
And on top of that, nothing gets done.
Yeah, here's how you know nothing gets done. technically the Jedi Order created Darth Vader.
Yeah.
If they had just given this guy the rank of master and not treated him like a complete and utter douche.
He was a complete douche.
He was, but
I really don't know how to put it gently. He
had
didn't deserve the rank of master.
No, but he had a point. Then why put him on the council? That made no sense. I'm like, what? It's like master, Skywalker, master.
I mean, obviously it could have been better handled, but I think at the end of the day,
Mace Windu specifically, because
he
seemed to genuinely hate Anakin.
Mace Windu is, by all accounts, just a massive bleep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he is. I'm like, dude.
We're working on it.
I'm like, dude.
It's just, it doesn't... He had one episode in the Clone Wars that kind of redeemed him for a split second, and then the next episode... I don't even remember. It was something where he was like... He was trying to save some droids or something, and he said some stuff that was like legitimately like he actually cared about the value of other people's lives.
Was that the Ryloth episode?
No.
Well, because
I don't remember.
I do know there are plenty of episodes of him being mean, because
yeah,
it's that one episode where he's like blasting R2D2 saying, oh, Skywalker, you're too attached to that droid. And I'm like, that droid...
He's too attached to that droid.
Well, that's true. But he kind of didn't wipe that
on
that
one
droid down.
hand, obviously the way Anakin was treated was not fair.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, Anakin was the worst Jedi ever.
Well, he got married, so he
didn't
emotionally
just get
compromised
married.
himself.
He fell in love. He fell in love to the point of not caring really about any of his other responsibilities.
Mm-hmm. He didn't follow orders, so...
Yeah, he was just... Honestly, it's a mirror. Honestly, everything would have gone so much better if they had just kicked him out. That's what they should have done.
Yeah, seeing all the stuff he's gotten into, like where he like completely bit.
But you know, they were so obsessed with the whole chosen one thing that they just.
And then it turns out to be Luke Skywalker, his son.
No, Anakin was the chosen one.
Really?
Yeah, he did bring balance to the Force in the end.
Oh, that's true. He did kill Sidious.
Well, it's not even that. It's that the Jedi seem to be under the impression that balance means the light side. Balance means equal.
True.
There have to be Sith. There have to be Jedi. That's the definition of balance.
But I guess what they were thinking to play...
They were thinking of peace and balance are not always the same thing.
Meaning there always has to be conflict.
Peace is a lie. There is only passion.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I could go on for hours
think about
the Sith Code. I remember teaching that thing every night for months.
You taught the Sith Code?
I was an overseer in a lot of SWTOR guilds, and there were points at which I was teaching multiple trials at once, which is always fun. And then there were points at which just every single class, hey, can you teach the Sith Code? Can you teach the Sith Code?
No, really?
It's not as bad as teaching people Sheet Show. Teaching people Sheet Show via text is a nightmare.
Really?
But I have had to go into hour-long discussions about the Sith Code on a regular basis for the last several years.
I was that guy who, when I was playing KOTOR, and there's a part where you're on a Sith like academy, and you're supposed to be like infiltrating to get to the piece of the Starforge map, and then one of the trials you have to pass is learning the Sith Code, and the same thing with the Jedi Code. I was just hitting random buttons, trying to find the one. Okay, so let me see. It's this. Peace is a lie. There is only. Wait a second. Okay, so I mean, peace
is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The Force shall free me. It's not that hard.
It was hard at the time. Okay,
it's not.
I'm playing a video game. I'm like, I want to get back to fighting fools.
We'll have to do another segment on the Sith Code, because that's a whole nother thing. Oh, the Sith Code is just a masterful piece of philosophy that honestly applies really well to the real world.
So what I'm getting from you is that Sith aren't necessarily evil.
The purpose of the Sith... Okay, so we're doing the Sith Code thing. Okay.
All right, we might as well make us a longer episode.
Here we are.
All right, we're doing the Sith now.
Sith
Move on.
Code. Here we go. All right, so... It's pretty easy to split it up line by line, which is what makes it so easy to teach. Peace is a lie, there is only passion. What that generally means is the natural state of the universe and of human nature is conflict.
That's actually very true.
You have two options in life. Either you create conflict, you go after your passions, you go after the things you want, or you stay put, you stay in peace, and you stagnate and you do nothing. Obviously, for the betterment of yourself, the galaxy, or anyone else, in this case, conflict is preferable. That's generally the first bit. And then, through passion, I gain strength. This is usually the part where things start getting a little evil. Because if you start single-mindedly following your passions to the detriment of everyone else, needless to say, you start getting a little murdery.
Yeah, needless to say.
But that's not necessarily where it has to go.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there is only through passion I gain strength. What that generally means is you use your emotions without letting them use you. That's a very important part.
Yeah, Anakin Skywalker.
You use your passions and you direct them and you give them focus in order to help you achieve the thing that you want. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
That works.
And there's also the important thing of having, because especially you've got, a lot of Sith with deeply emotionally scarring backstories. That's kind of Anakin. I was in a lot of RP guilds. I've seen a lot of cringy 13-year-olds. Okay.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of people that are just, oh boy, there's some stories. But there was a lot of there, and especially honestly, the Sith Academy purposely puts you through a great deal of physical and emotional pain.
Saw that in the game.
Specifically, so that they can give you more sources of emotion, more sources of power.
Okay.
They are doing this to help you.
Well, to help.
Their goal is to make you stronger.
Okay, I see that.
Regardless of whether or not that makes you sane. And that's the thing. A lot of Sith wind up insane because what happens when you don't have a focus for your passions, a goal, a place to put those emotions, what they do is they just kind of twist up inside you and then you go insane. You see the problem.
That should be Vader.
Yeah.
A lot of this describes Darth Vader.
Yeah. So through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. And personally, this is my favorite line. Because there is a very subtle but distinct difference between power and strength. Take a guess.
Well, because strength and power. Okay, so the difference between strength and power. Don't tell me. Let me figure this out.
I'll wait.
Strength and power. So well, is it like strength is not necessarily associated with evil and power kind of is?
No.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with good and evil in this case.
Okay.
What it is that strength is the ability to enforce your will on the world around you. Okay. Power is the ability to enforce your will on others.
Okay, on world around me or others.
So strength, for example, is the raw strength. You can lift a rock with your mind.
Okay.
That is strength. That is a physical thing. Power is when you have authority and when you are able to manipulate others into lifting the rock for you.
Okay, that makes
sense. Because they know if they don't, you're going to hurt them.
Yeah, okay, I got that.
Not kill them, obviously. What use do you have for a dead servant? They need to be useful.
An example for the next servant.
It depends. Good servants are hard to find these days. I would know.
This just sounded really weird.
But that's the main thing with strength and power, because at the end of the day, to be Sith is to exert your will over your surroundings. Basically, for a sufficiently powerful Sith, you're essentially a low-level god. If you think it can be true.
I noticed that.
So through power, I gain victory. This is victory both over those around you and victory over yourself and your own emotions, so that you can continue that focus and continue harnessing your power, your passions, to increase your strength, to increase your power.
Okay. That makes sense.
And then through victory, my chains are broken because guess what? When you're at the top of the totem pole,
I'm invincible.
But these are also not your chains socially. They are your own chains that you've placed on yourself, your attachments.
Okay. But Sith seems...
And this is where we get to the bit with the Jedi and the Sith.
Yeah, because the Jedi are like, don't form attachments.
Now, the Sith are like...
So, which is interesting because...
was it Malgus that raided Coruscant?
In the Old Republic? I think so.
Yeah. If you recall, he had a wife.
Okay.
A Twi'lek, a former slave that he'd freed.
Mm-hmm.
He killed her. Do you know why?
Why?
Because people had started to realize that she was a weakness for him.
Oh, God, really?
And as soon as he realized that she would be used against him, he cut out that weakness. That doesn't mean he loved her any less. Her loss was a fuel for his power for the rest of his life.
Okay.
And that is the way Sith see attachments.
Mm-hmm.
Your attachments, fighting because you love someone and fighting to protect them is great.
Mm-hmm.
No Sith is going to have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
What they're going to have a problem with is when that love is used against you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you can't let happen.
Okay, I see.
So the Jedi have the standing philosophy that you can care about whoever you want so long as you don't put them above the rest of the galaxy.
Which is kind of funny because isn't that forming attachments?
They do care about that.
This is really circular with the Jedi, jeez.
The thing with the Jedi is, on one hand, because they're encouraged to have compassion. They are
true.
encouraged to care for people. The main thing is that they are supposed to be guardians of the whole galaxy.
True.
And they can't be putting a single person above that mission.
It seems kind of odd because it's like Sakura and Fisto. I'm like, they seem pretty attached.
But then again, I don't doubt that if the mission called for it, they would let the other go.
Probably, yeah.
And that's kind of how it's supposed to work.
Which is why Anakin was like a crappy Jedi, because he would not let Padme go.
That's the reason why.
Or Ahsoka, or Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I mean, Anakin just has attachment issues. That's really the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Sith, instead of not being allowed to put your attachments over the needs of the galaxy, it's you cannot let your attachments overcome you.
Okay, that makes sense.
You can love whoever you want. You can care about anything. You can do whatever you want. But if somebody finds a way to use that against you, you deserve whatever you get.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the Sith have a tendency to be a bit cutthroat.
I would love that conversation. Honey, guess what? You're a weakness, so come over here. I want to show you my new lightsaber.
I mean, yeah, that's probably about how that goes, though. There's a reason why Sith, either they have a loved one that they have already lost, or they've learned their lesson by example and they know not to get involved. And also, to be fair, anybody that's going to purposely get into a relationship with a Sith,
yeah, that's not gonna.
I really feel like they already know
what they're getting into. They know what they're getting into.
Like, you can't have your lover just like coming home from a war zone, just covered in blood, and not think that honey, maybe you might be next.
Hey, honey, how was your day?
It just wouldn't, it wouldn't end well. Never get in a relationship. Honestly, you know what? Never get in a relationship with a Force user. I feel like that's just,
yeah.
I'm going to extend that. Never date a wizard. I'm just going to call it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Revan and Basilisk kind of worked out, and even though he went missing for like thousands of years.
I mean, they did have a kid, so.
I mean, they had a bond through the Force, so yeah. I guess that kind of.
Well, Force bonds aren't all that uncommon.
Really?
No, Force bonds. Actually, most Master Padawan pairs tend to have Force bonds. They happen a lot.
So the whole they can share a dream and all that.
Yeah, that can happen. The depth of the Force bond can vary, but like among Jedi, like if your former master dies, odds are you're gonna feel that through the Force.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Force bonds kind of just form with people who you're very close to.
That's why, kind of like in Clone Wars Season 7, where like Ahsoka's in the ship and she's leaving, and Anakin's on that Star Destroyer, and they kind of hear each other. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Well,
that
there's
makes sense.
There's
I was wondering
also,
about
I
that.
mean, consider Yoda. He had a force bond to most of the
To
people.
everyone, pretty much.
Most of the people on the council.
Which is why.
And they all died. You can imagine he was not having
That's
a
why
good
he
day.
dropped that. That's why he dropped that cane, and he was like, "Oh."
Yeah, there was, and either if one of the members of said bond
Mm-hmm.
is not very powerful in the force, I wouldn't say weak, but like, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Or if the bond was very strong, a significant disturbance, whether it be one person dying or just like significant pain, could kill the other.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Obi-Wan kind of did pick
Obi-Wan
up on
and Anakin,
Alderaan blowing up.
Everyone picked up on
Yeah.
Alderaan.
Oh, that's true.
Because death does send a ripple through the force, and that many people, that has nothing to do with the force bond. It's just everyone died at the same time.
Did Obi-Wan really think that Anakin really died, or did he know he was still alive the whole time up until the point they met each other in episode 4?
I think he found out, but I don't think he knew right away.
Okay.
Because he clearly already knew when he saw Vader, like in the movie. He already knew. And also he told Luke, Vader killed your father.
Yeah, so he knew in episode 4.
He clearly knew.
He knew in episode.
But I would think that sudden influx of dark side energy would have disrupted the force bond enough to feel like death.
Could be. It could be that they explain it more in the Obi-Wan series, because they did say that Anakin's going to show up.
It could also just be that, Obi-Wan recognizes that Vader and Anakin are not the same person.
Okay, it could be from a certain point of view.
Like, as far as he's concerned, Anakin is dead.
No, yeah, that's true.
Whoever this weird mask fellow is over here, that's clearly not his brother, so...
He's like, your father was turned into the dark side. That way, though, the man I knew was destroyed. So what I told you was true from a certain point of view. It's amazing how quotable Obi-Wan Kenobi is.
Oh, yeah.
Is that it with the Sith? How come they seem to always have a red a lightsaber as opposed to like the Jedi who have a variety of colors?
2 reasons. The Jedi get their crystals largely from crystal caves. They're naturally occurring crystals that are already strong within the light side of the Force. The crystals are, to a certain extent, like almost sentient. They're like legitimately connected to the Force. The red crystals, you've got 2 ways of making them. Option A, synthetic crystals. Those were very popular, especially in the Old Republic. Option B, bleeding a crystal.
Is that what I think that's what Darth Vader did in the Vader comic. I thought that's what he did.
That's possible. I really don't know anything about the comics. Basically, you just take a regular light-aligned crystal and you just overload it with dark energy,
and then just
until it just
bleeds, I guess. Yeah. All right, that makes sense.
And so, that's how you get to a red crystal. In either case, a Sith using a light-aligned crystal would probably find themselves less powerful, largely because as much as the dark side of the Force tempts a Jedi... No, sorry, the dark side of the Force tempts a Jedi. The light side of a Force does tempt a Sith.
Really? I didn't know that.
It does. It's... Is
one stronger? Or
No. Not... The Force in and of itself doesn't really have dark side or light side. It really is just a question of what you're doing with it at any given moment.
Okay.
However, the Force is sentient. The Force is alive, and it does have desires, essentially. That's why the rule of 2 was so important. Because the Force basically decides there's going to be an equal amount of light side power and dark side power. If there are only 2 Sith, all of that power is in 2 people.
Yeah, jeez.
Which is how you wind up with people as ridiculously powerful as Palpatine.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the Old Republic,
the Sith weren't that
Sith
powerful.
Don't look that impressive. On the other hand, that's why the Jedi also look less impressive by comparison.
Okay.
Because there's 10,000 Jedi out there. There's a lot of power split up in there. So, that's how...
So, speaking of lightsabers, explain the significance of the dark saber.
Oh boy, I do not know why it is black.
Okay.
I don't think anyone knows, actually.
Which-
I think I looked this up
Besides the
once.
fact that it looks cool. So.
No, it's definitely... Okay, it belonged to the only Mandalorian Jedi.
There's not been any other Mandos who become Jedi.
Well, as a part of the Rezelnair and all that,
Oh yeah,
you're not allowed to use the Force.
And it would also conflict with the whole you put your clan first thing.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't be able to, but even if you are wholly Mandalorian, you're not allowed to use the Force at all.
Really?
If you use the Force, you
That's
get
considered
kicked
not
out.
fair?
Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense.
The Force is considered inherently dishonorable.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, if a Mandalorian couple found themselves with a Force-sensitive kid, they would. I mean, obviously, they'd probably still raise the kid, to be honest, but they'd probably pretty quickly find them somewhere else.
It's like they win. They win 300 the kid. Like throw the kid away.
Oh
Like
no. I mean, it's still their kid,
Mm-hmm.
and goodness knows, Mandos love their children.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, no, they absolutely adore their kids.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, when a Mando turns 13, they have their Vergoten, which is basically a rite of passage. It's their first proper hunt, which is obviously very important for a society that places so much importance on hunting. And your Vergoten is your rite of passage. It is what makes you an adult within the clan.
Okay, that makes sense.
Odds are a Force-sensitive child would either have to completely swear off ever using the Force at all, or they wouldn't be allowed to complete their Vergoten.
Then how come you had a Jedi who was a Mandalorian? Did he
Eh,
abandon the Mandalorians, or?
I mean, I could look it up.
Please do, because that's a question that I thought was kind of odd. Because it makes sense that there'd only be one, but I'm like, why is there one if they swear off the Force?
I love that it's called the Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. I spent a lot of time there.
Also, why do they even bother having a canon tab, honestly? Everyone knows Legends is better.
I know.
Like,
Legends
just stop making me have to click on this.
What Disney should have done is kept everything and just made movies about what they want instead of just throwing out all the stuff.
Okay, here we go. Once held by the here we go. Once held by the Jedi Order during a period of collapse, the Darksaber was stolen by members of the Mandalorian warrior clans. But where'd it come from, though? All it says is that it was in the Jedi Temple, and then some Mandos stole it.
So they don't say like how the Mandalorian became a Jedi?
Actually, I'm not seeing any mention of a Mandalorian Jedi, so I'm really wondering where I heard that and who told me that.
I thought it was in Rebels that they said it was from the only Mandalorian who became a Jedi.
No, they said because I remember in Rebels they said that it was taken from the temple on Coruscant, and that's what it says in here.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
Let me see. Who first wielded the Darksaber?
It says Tor Vizsla.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. It was Clan Vizsla that raided the temple and they stole the Darksaber.
Was that temple raid the one that was shown in that amazing trailer for the?
Oh no! That was when Malgus just wrecked everything.
Tar Vizsla. Okay. I didn't know man was about that we didn't. This was one of a kind. Legend tells us it was created 1,000 years ago by Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian ever inducted into the Jedi Order. After his passing, the Jedi kept it at the temple. Yes, I was right.
Okay, there we go. So
yes,
there we go.
Figured it was.
So it said Mandalorian inducted into the Jedi Temple?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Into the Jedi. That's why.
So
I
would presume that he was culturally Mandalorian and then eventually
said, I'm out.
Presumably. Because the thing is, it's very difficult not to use the Force when you have it.
Yeah, I'd imagine that.
And I would imagine that after a while, it really starts becoming a, look, I love you guys, but I can't keep doing this.
I have superpowers.
This is not an option for me.
So going back to my quick question. What's like the cultural significance of this saber? Because it seems like in like Mando is a big deal.
It is known to be I would say honestly, ever since the Helm of Mandalore was lost, they've kind of been looking for a symbol to replace it.
Okay, and that's
and
like
the dark
one
saber
that, like,
is
unifies.
one of those. Somebody who has rightfully taken, which is the operative term here, the dark saber doesn't necessarily have an automatic claim to Mandalore. Not like they would if they had the helm. But it would certainly help because it is a symbol of a time when the Mandalorians were a lot more powerful.
Okay.
So, you know,
Man.
I think it really just has more to do with the history behind it and the fact that it's just an item that draws a lot
lightsabers
of...
last forever. Jeez.
Well, I always thought that was a little weird because they are battery powered.
Yeah, because I'm like, how is a dark saber surviving so long if it goes all the way back to like the first?
I mean, presumably people have changed the batteries
I
since
can
then.
imagine that.
What I really like is Qui-Gon's lightsaber just has like random battery packs just kind of like all over the place.
Stacked on top of each other?
Because I think the reasoning for that was that he spends so much time in just like ridiculous places that he can't always be changing his batteries.
I'm
So
like,
just
you know what?
stacked a bunch of power packs on there, just like,
plug it in
fine.
there. I'm done. I'm done with this.
This will be fine. It works.
It works.
It looks hideous. It works.
I'm not.
What more do you want from me?
I'm going for. If it works, I don't care what the hell it looks like.
Look, I'm sorry. Qui-Gon's hair is fabulous enough that I'm willing to forget a terrible lightsaber. I'm jealous of his hair.
Jeez, I was always jealous of Obi-Wan's beard before I had one myself.
Okay, I'm sorry. You can't hold a candle to the Obi-Wan beard. Don't even
I know
try.
it's mine is shorter and all that stuff. I can't really work on that. Though.
And I mean, it's just insufficiently ginger.
Okay, that's true. That's true. It's true. I wasn't a big fan of Anakin's hair from like episode 3, the mullet. I'm not a mullet fan. I think like
I'm a fan of Anakin's look in the Clone Wars TV show.
Yeah, that's fine.
That I like. I also really like the armor on both of them.
Yes.
That's really good. I'm looking to make something like that. That's one of my the current projects. Mando armor, Temple Guard robes.
That would be dope. By the way, so I think I would be fine with Revan if Keanu Reeves played him and they said keep your hair the way it is.
Well, obviously.
Keep him with like the longish hair. That's great. Do John Wick as a Jedi, and that's pretty much Revan.
Yeah, no, that would be.
But just to give you an idea of how cool Revan is, this guy died and then willed himself back to life, kind of, to a certain degree.
Kind of. It's more complicated than that.
Well, the point is, that's how cool this guy is. He literally refused to die completely.
And there's other people that have done that.
No, but he's the most well-known guy that at least I've heard of that.
But like Darth Sion, though.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He didn't even die. He just straight up. He just got taken apart and was just like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. And just carried on about his life.
I swear, when I first played KOTOR 2 and Darth Sion showed up, I had to cut. I was younger, so I was like, ugh, because I had nightmares of it.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, the Sith in that game were scary.
Actually,
because you had him and Nihilus.
Faintly immortal Sith, Valkorion.
Who was that?
The Emperor.
Oh,
that just kind of body hopped
okay.
until.
All right, there you go. That kind of works.
Like
or like Palpatine in Legends, because he kind of body hopped into clones and Mara Jade.
I'm not a big fan of the Palpatine clone thing personally, because we already know how horribly that went when Force-sensitive clones don't work.
Yeah, that's
we know
we saw
they
in, like
don't
the
work.
Force Unleashed or like anytime they ever. That's why I have a really hard time buying the fact that in Rise of Skywalker they just upped and cloned Palpatine.
All of a sudden they figured it out.
What? It would have been so much cooler if he pulled a Revan and just willed himself back to life. He's that powerful.
Yeah, no, I'm not a big fan of the clone thing personally, but I mean,
stupid.
Also,
because I had played The Force Unleashed. I know that's not canon anymore, but I'm like, yeah, the clones were like mindless creatures if they lasted.
Yeah. And usually what it was that they just got like a bunch of extra memories via the Force and it just drove them insane.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't that cognizant as Palpatine.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I would have preferred it if they'd like somehow just made him like an android.
That would have been cooler.
That would have been cooler. But like, I'm not a fan.
There were so many ways they could have done that a lot better.
I mean, I'm not going to complain too much because that movie was still better than the others.
I'll give you that. Of the two that came before it, that one was the best one.
Because that's the one I'd be willing to watch again. Actually, I'd be quite happy to watch again. It was an excellent movie. I really liked it. In hindsight, the plot was weird,
the Rey
but I
Skywalker thing was just stupid. I'm like, come on. We get it. You
honestly,
want her to be a Skywalker.
The main thing that got me about the whole movie was I do not understand why every movie in which there are a boy and a girl, every single time, why is this guy nearly dead in your arms and now is the time that you decide to kiss him? Have you not considered like calling for help? Doing literally anything else?
Force healing.
Now is the time to make out.
Yeah, now is the time. That's another thing. I was like, wait, what? I mean, there was two cool parts in that movie that I was like, oh God. When Lando showed up with that massive fleet, because it was like the ghost, and I think I saw the Razor Crest there. And then it was when Rey is like, when all of a sudden you start hearing like Samuel L. Jackson and Ewan.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that part at all.
Really?
I hated that part.
Really? What's your problem with it?
Honestly, it was just more of the same, in which,
I mean, the way
I would hesitate to say that Rey was a proper Jedi at all.
She wasn't.
And hearing her get the endorsement of all these other Jedi
who did so much more
just felt really hollow.
Here's my problem with Rey. So they
should have done that to Ben.
Yeah, they introduce her, and she beats Kylo Ren her first time wielding a lightsaber. He's the Sith Lord.
He's not a Sith Lord, first of all.
He has more training than she does.
He was going easy on her because he underestimated her. I'm willing to buy that. It's a flimsy excuse, but I'm willing to buy it.
Okay.
I'll let them go with that one.
All right, but
I dislike her characterization.
Yeah, me too.
But
I would have liked it more as a story if they made Finn the guy who becomes a Jedi.
I mean, obviously.
That would have been great because like a great redemption arc. He's a stormtrooper that becomes a Jedi.
They did Finn dirty in that.
I was like, come on, man. He's a great character and you freaking waste him. I mean, I like Poe. I thought Poe was pretty great I
mean, Poe was fine.
He was okay as a fighter pilot.
He was a little forgettable, but he was fine.
What did you think of the Princess Leia, Mary Poppins in outer space going back into the ship? I thought that was stupid.
I forgot about that. It was so stupid.
I'm like, wait a second. Scientifically, she'd be dead as soon as she got sucked into space.
No, she wouldn't be.
Explain.
She would have several seconds.
Okay, but there was more than several seconds from when she got
I'm willing to call Force shenanigans on keeping herself alive.
To quote Han Solo, that's not how the Force works.
Clearly it is, because that's how it worked.
That's pretty much like in DC, whenever Batman does anything, it's like, because I'm Batman. It's because,
honestly,
because of the Force.
I've never really been inclined to complain about how they decide to do to mechanically do things.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been really one to complain about how they decide to use the Force this time or this time, because honestly, at the end of the day, I'm willing to overlook exceptions essentially for the sake of the plot.
Here was my issue. So the director said I did that to show that Leia can use the Force. That's fine.
There were a lot of other ways to do that.
Exactly my thought. There was
I feel like
many
that
other ways.
scene. The problem I have with that scene is not that I don't think it's possible. I mean, I don't, but again,
it's not possible.
Fine.
Okay, it's not possible.
I'll let it go. I don't care that much. It's just that it was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
They didn't need to do that.
Or here's a way to, if they're
literally have her just bring her coffee to her. Problem solved. Everyone knows.
Here's a better idea. If you want to still use that scene where all of a sudden at the last second she use the Force, when Kylo Ren shoots his his missiles at the bridge, have her reach out and grab them. That would have been so cool.
That would have been very cool.
But
I
no,
that one.
I would have been like, yeah, I would have been like totally fine. Be like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And then she whips out her lightsaber. Actually, wait, no, that was with Luke, but.
Yeah, no.
I mean, there were so many different ways.
Luke's death
Luke was terrible.
Ridiculous.
I was like,
I felt so bad. Honestly, I felt bad for him.
Mark Hamill, yeah.
Yeah.
Because this character was like the Star Wars guy.
Anybody that makes Mark Hamill cry on set is a monster.
That happened?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He was so sad about what they were doing with Luke that he straight up cried on set.
Screw you, Rian Johnson.
Just, can't do that.
Which is why, speaking of the man tears, When he showed up in Mando, he lifts the hood, and then the Tatooine song came out. Man tears.
I mean, is there really a difference between man tears and regular tears?
It's tears. Well, for me, it's
Get that
tears.
toxic masculinity out of here. You can cry just like everyone else.
No, I know, but
what do I cry? Girl tears? Are they different?
There's man tears and then there's sadness tears. Man tears are like, this is so great. I can't believe this is happening. Sadness tears is, oh my gosh, I can't believe this character died.
Are you just more advanced than me? I just call these all tears, man.
Yeah, I'm more advanced.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
I'm a dude, and that.
Oh yeah,
and that's the way we do this.
Don't choke on the masculinity, buddy.
You're not buying that, are you?
Not even a little bit.
Don't even get me started on toxic masculinity.
But anyway, the thing. Honestly, I was not a big fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was fine with Luke showing up. You know, that made sense. For me, it was really just the deepfake was so bad.
Yeah, the deepfake was bad. I'll give you that.
It was so bad. I couldn't focus on. I had Daniel next to me losing his mind, and I'm just sitting here, just like, I don't know what they did, but cool. That doesn't look like a human.
It was good up until the point he started talking.
Yeah, because his face wasn't moving like a face should move.
Yeah. I was like, dude.
You'd think Disney would have a better budget than this.
Yeah.
Don't tell me they don't know how to do this. They didn't find Leia.
I just saw 2 seasons. Well, the Leia thing was kind of odd too. I just saw 2 seasons of them basically making a TV show that looked like it was a legitimate Star Wars movie.
Yeah, no, and then it didn't.
I'll tell you why. There are deepfakes on YouTube that look way better.
Yeah, no,
the technology is there for cheap.
Also, very small thing that I'm kind of annoyed about. Why did they have to get rid of Jeans Guy? I liked Jeans Guy.
Because
Jeans Guy was the best character in the show.
Because no one wears jeans in Star Wars.
Why not?
That's a good point, but they don't really work.
Make jeans canon.
I mean,
petition to Disney.
They already made macaroons canon, so.
See?
I guess so.
Speaking of which, side thing that is a subset of the Mando mercs.
Mm-hmm.
The Society of Mandalorian Chefs is a thing that exists.
Oh, really?
And I am so happy.
Really? Dope.
Oh man, no, Mando cooking is its whole other subject. It's.
You mean people actually make Star Wars stuff in real life?
Well, it's like that within the Mandalorian language there are 4 main features that Mandalorians consider as good cooking, which is it burns your nostrils, it burns your mouth. It's very calorie dense, which is kind of important when you rely on highly portable field rations for food.
Yeah.
And it's something else that basically just translates to spicy.
Jeez.
It's basically just Indian food, and I'm so happy.
Jeez.
It makes me very happy.
That's great. That is so great. All right. Okay. All right. Who is your favorite Mando of the ones that we've seen in, like, let's say Clone Wars or Rebels and Mando? Personally, mine is Din Djarin.
Oh, I don't agree with you there. Oh no.
Really?
Oh no.
It's either Din or Bo-Katan. Because I am a big Bo-Katan fan.
I'm going to have to go with Sabine.
Okay, that's cool. I like her. She's cool.
It's either her or Bo-Katan.
Mm-hmm. I like Sabine because...
I like Sabine more because the stuff that I care about the most within Mandalorian culture is the emphasis on clan. And you never really do get to see Bo-Katan with her clan.
Yeah, that's true. With Sabine, it's like Sabine, a main part of her story.
And that feels a lot more Mandalorian to me. The reason why I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I don't think Din really counts as a proper Mando. I really don't.
What do you want?
He doesn't follow the Razzlenaire, and thus he is not Mando.
What's he not following?
All right, so we've got language. Haven't heard him speak a single word of Mandoa. Frankly, don't even think he knows how to speak
because there's not a lot of Mandos alive, and
that's all the more reason to speak the language.
I guess that's a good point.
Armor. He's fine on the armor bit.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't used to be Beskar, but again, that's not incredibly important.
He's a little extreme on the armor bit, but okay. Because of no helmet thing.
Well, actually, that's the thing that makes me think that the whole clan bit is also not very well followed.
Well, there's no clans left, as you said earlier.
Well, he's
For
got
sure.
a clan with Grogu.
He
They
gets a little
are, in
Mando-
fact, a clan.
He gets him a little Mando helmet. That'd be so dope.
Well, he's got the little necklace, the little mythosaur.
No, but he needs a helmet. He needs an actual helmet with holes in the side for the
Oh,
ears.
that's adorable. That sounds really cute.
This is the way.
I'm gonna make a little helmet for my little stuffed
You
Grogu.
You should. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna make
You
him a little
should.
helmet. It's gonna be very cute.
Send me a picture of that. That'd be so
I'll be
dope.
sure to do so. But yeah, it's the main thing is I don't think there are really many. I think there are very few true Mandos left in this era.
Yeah, which
I
is
think Din is probably as good of a Mando as you're going to get in that era. But since we're talking about all eras, Din is not nearly as Mandalorian as all the others.
Yeah, but that's why I kind of added like in like Clone Wars or Rebels, and then like that, because obviously there are so many people who are way more Mandalorian.
If we do want to go,
in terms of Old Republic era, my favorite is Canderous.
Okay.
He tells the best war stories, and he's got a big ass gun, and he becomes Mandalore.
There was one guy who I guess isn't technically Mandalorian either by those standards, because his main thing was that he never explicitly refused Mandalore's call, but they kept putting him on the front lines, and he kept just walking away. Just over and over again. He was just like, I really don't know why we're fighting.
I'm out, bro.
I'll show up to battle if you call me, but you better not be expecting me to fight. And he'd just walk away.
That's so good. Because technically he's not disobeying. He said go to combat. He never said
but
fight.
By that regard, I think that probably also doesn't really count as a proper Mando.
Yeah, I know, but that's.
But I really like him anyway.
He just yeets out of there. That's so good.
But the thing is, this happened several times. They kept sending him back to the front lines, and he kept.
At what point do they decide? You know what? You're out.
4 or 5 times.
And like maybe the second time you have to say you're out, bro. But it's like 5 times.
Yeah.
They must have been truly. To quote Loki, you must be truly desperate.
What was it?
Jeez, 5 times, jeez. That's so great.
Let's see. What's the? I forget his name. Oh, I'm so mad about that.
But that is so dope.
Yeah, no, that's
like the ultimate lazy Mando. I showed up. You didn't say I had to stay. But isn't there a whole thing on like courage versus like cowardice?
Well, that was he got a really bad rep from other Mandos because many of them did consider it cowardly.
Yeah, because he didn't stay.
On the other hand, his general thing was that he's not going to sit around and fight for a cause that he does not understand. He was willing to fight, but he wanted an explanation first, and he wasn't getting one.
So basically, he said, tell me why we're fighting, and then I'll fight. And the commander was like, no. That's the most like officer thing that could ever happen. It's like, tell me why we're fighting.
Just like,
no.
This is need to know information.
He's like,
oh, really?
You need to know. Oh, really? I'm dying on that battlefield. No. Like,
so in that, like, I would argue that it wasn't a question of cowardice because, frankly, standing up to Mandalore and his entire army
that's brave.
Was probably braver.
That is braver
than just falling in line.
In.
On the other hand, I do see why the other man he got a bad reputation, a very bad reputation.
How could you trust him?
Yeah, but that's just
that.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. He just left.
He was a lot of fun.
That is so good. Oh man. Who's your favorite Sith?
Oh,
obviously mine is Revan.
Oh.
It's either Revan or Nihilus. I love Nihilus. I think
Nihilus Sion. Is great, but he's not my favorite.
Or Traya. Traya was pretty cool. Or Kreia from KOTOR 2.
Darth Mar.
Mar. Who's Mar?
He was the one that was kind of in charge of the war in SWTOR.
Oh, okay.
And he was the most fair, I think, of the Sith, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had one goal within the Empire, and he wasn't particularly interested in screwing over everyone else to get to it.
Okay. that
The
makes
other
sense.
thing is, one of the things that I noticed that was really funny in Canada is most people that make it to the Dark Council, the average length of their stay is 3 days before they get killed. So
Wow.
I really like the idea
They must change.
that Darth Maul doesn't bother learning anyone's name until they've been here for at least 3 months.
Yeah. All right. There you go. There you go. That is so good. And then the audience and my co-host, when he's actually here, know that I can recite the whole tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
I mean, yeah, but can you recite the whole Sith code though?
no.
So there.
Peace is a lie. There was only passion. Through passion, I gained strength. Through strength, my chains are broken.
Nope. Through
Okay.
strength, I gain power.
And then through power, my chains are broken.
Through power, I gain victory, and then through victory, my chains
Damn
are
it.
broken. I know you just.
I
got
can't be a
you just
Sith or a
tried to
Jedi.
fit the chains thing in there.
Dang.
I would like to read to you the proper Mandoa for the
Go ahead.
Rezel there.
You mean it in Mando and
In
Mandoa?
Mandoa, yeah.
All right, let's do this.
It's pretty short anyway. It's Bajor, Beskargam, Aranov, Alit, Mandoa, Balmandalore, and Bekunyan Mi. That's it. That's a lot of it.
That's short.
The thing I like about the Mandalorians is that everything they do is meant to be doable in the middle of a battle.
Oh yeah, but
Like, you
so
know
it has
how
to be
Mando
short.
weddings work?
What?
You literally say like 3 lines to each other. You don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to do anything.
I love you. Yeah, I'll marry you.
No,
Let's get this
no,
done.
no. It's we are one when we are together. We are one when we are apart. We will share everything, and we will raise our children as warriors. That's it. That's the lot of it. You
And
say
you
that
kiss
to
and
each
you're
other.
done.
You don't even have to kiss. You can do middle of battlefield.
So you can get married in the middle of a battlefield.
Also,
that is
Mandos have a really cute, like, because obviously you can't be always removing your helmet and putting it back on because that's just a pain in the ass. So they've got a helmeted kiss where you just kind of like tap your foreheads together. It's just so cute.
That actually is not bad.
And
In Halo, they have a kind of a thing like that because the Spartans wear the helmet so often.
Mhm.
So they have a sign to show this is how you know I'm smiling. If they put with the 2 fingers up to the visor,
oh yeah, that's
that's
cute.
pretty much it.
Yeah, no, they do that. They do the
That's
date.
nice. I didn't know
It's
that.
not just a romantic thing though. Like, it's done between family members. It's just a general. You like put your foreheads together, just inhale. Like, kind of. I think it's supposed to be kind of like in like native Hawaiian culture. It's
Mhm.
similar that like breathing each other's air is essentially kind of the point.
That's a good idea. How cool would it be if Disney did like a Mandalorian show that was just Mandalorian culture?
I
would
be
watch the
so happy.
I would watch the crap out of that. Let me put it that way.
I would be so happy.
Because let me put it this way. So the way I rank on which things I like in Star Wars is the Jedi are dead last because they're always wrong and they're always getting killed. Sith are kind of like up in my top 5 because they're some of the coolest characters, like my boy Revan up there.
Mhm.
Clones, number 2, and then Mandalorian's number 1. I'm a big Mando guy.
Yeah, I do think I mean, obviously I'm a big fan of the Mandalorians.
Really, I couldn't
I
tell.
think you're maybe a little bit harsh on the Jedi.
Let me put it this way. They couldn't tell Palpatine was a Sith Lord. They created Darth Vader and didn't know the clone army was there to kill them.
Yeah.
They're idiots.
and They're not idiots.
You couldn't tell the
They're
person that's
still
obviously
people.
you
They
couldn't,
believe what they want to believe.
you couldn't believe that the guy that's super shady is a Sith Lord. It took Anakin Skywalker, the person you trusted
If
the
you
least.
recall, the dark side was clouding their vision significantly.
No, but it's like even without using the Force, you could pretty much tell this guy's kind of shady.
Plus, we already knew that this was. Even the Jedi knew that this was the end of an era.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you're using a lot of the end of the Jedi Golden Age
Mm-hmm.
to kind of, to an extent, invalidate the thousands of years of pretty solid success that they had before
Actually,
that.
going to the Mandalorian Wars, where Revan was like, "Hey, listen, guys, they're coming for us. I mean, they're eventually going to get to us. So why don't we just go out there and deal with this problem before it metastasizes?" And the Jedi Council's like, "Nah." Revan
There is
had
a
to
point
go
be made
rogue.
that the Jedi are not meant to be warriors. That's
But
not their
eventually-
job.
But technically, that'll be peacekeeping.
Is it?
Yeah. Mandos are rapidly approaching. So wait a second. They have to be directly engaged. Like they have to be Mando ships in the air before they can decide this is a problem.
The Jedi were originally more supposed to be diplomats
that
than
carry
anything
around
else.
swords.
Well, yes. Also, to be honest,
Aggressive diplomacy.
I think the main problem was the Jedi becoming part of the Republic. Because back when they were just some, Force users doing their own thing, that was all fine.
Yeah.
It's because honestly, the problem is that they're trying to work within the Republic's framework,
which they can't
and
do.
I don't think that's working out for them so great.
No, it obviously it didn't during the Clone Wars, particularly the end of the Clone Wars.
I mean, there was also a big problem with that because, like, on one hand, I do understand wanting to, fight to protect, but on the other hand, how old was Ahsoka? Her first battle, I believe she was 14.
I know. Child soldiers!
Like, there is a point at which that is clearly unacceptable.
Yeah.
Especially because Jedi are by default, like, minimum rank is commander.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine a 14-year-old in command?
Because that's pretty high up in the military hierarchy. This girl's just
gotten out of middle school.
Yeah, and she's like, okay, we know you graduated, you got some good grades. Go lead a battalion into combat.
It's just, it doesn't make sense. And I think the Jedi Order has a lot of problems, but I think it does also encompass a lot of just generally human psychology.
Well, at least with the Sith, they're like, go crazy. Let me put it this way: if there's a fleet approaching like the edge of your space, pretty much, and a Sith goes, "Hey, let's go deal with these guys. Let's go at least demonstrate strength." That the Sith are going to be like, "Go ahead."
Not really, actually.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm. You would be more than welcome to use your resources.
Okay.
To go do whatever you want. If you start messing with someone else's resources, there's going to be a problem. The thing is, one of the big hypocrisies of the Sith is the last line of the Sith code, "The Force shall free me." Every Sith is a slave to someone. Every single one of them.
That's true.
Every Sith is an apprentice. Or, if they are a Lord, they're underneath a Darth. If they're a Darth, they're underneath a Dark Counselor. And if they're a Dark Counselor, they're underneath the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
They may have more people beneath them, and that is kind of the Sith definition of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the Sith's only definition of freedom is how long your leash is.
Okay.
That doesn't mean the leash isn't there.
Yeah, isn't there. Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, if there's some threat to whatever borders or just like the edge of the world or whatever, sure, you can use your resources. Or you can get on your knees and beg whatever Lord or Darth is above you to grant you some more resources. Or you can kill someone that's on the same level as you and take their resources. But at the end of the day, people aren't letting you do things.
This is why I like Mandos a lot more.
Mandos kind of have the same problem, though.
Is there anyone that's like, if you go to them and say, these guys are going to attack us, well, let's go attack them first? Sure.
Well, the Mandos have less of that problem because at the very least, a clan is small enough that orders can, like, for example, if someone were threatening the edge of your clan stronghold,
mm-hmm.
It would not take that long for somebody to run over to their allure and say, hey, we've got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then half an hour later, everyone's ready for battle. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
When you're dealing with a hierarchy that numbers thousands of people, obviously that becomes a lot less possible.
That's true.
Like, one of the things that they never really seem to drive home in any of the films or the games or anything is how long space travel takes. In Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, sure, they're
like
traveling faster than light, but it takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
Getting from the Republic to the Empire still takes a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got some threat at the edge of Imperial space, by the time... Well, okay, never mind. There's hollows, so you can just kind of instantly inform people that way, which is convenient.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to sending reinforcements...
Yeah.
You're on your own, buddy.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that's right. Damn, so 0 and 3.
So no, well, the other thing is, to be honest, pretty much everything works in terms of hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even, like, I think everyone generally agrees that full anarchy is a bad plan.
Oh yeah.
Like, in this world and in Star Wars, we don't want everyone running around doing whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
So, in every culture, Jedi, Sith, Mandalorian, everything,
Mm-hmm.
they're all going to have some form of hierarchy, and if you want to be fighting with more than just yourself, you're going to need permission from someone.
I guess, yeah. Well, I guess the reason why I like, yeah,
It's a question of how much red tape you have
How
to
much
go
red
through
tape.
before getting anything done.
I'm going to the ones with the least amount of red tape, and that's probably Mando's, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think another reason why I like Mando, since specifically non-Force using characters more than Force users, because I see the Force as kind of a crutch,
It is.
which is what.
That is much more the case for Jedi than it is for Sith,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of the case for both.
Yeah, because it's like here's the thing: whenever you like have like, it's like whenever like a Mandalorian performs a great feat, it's like his actual skill. It's not because he's using the Force.
Oh, well, the other one is their skill in the Force.
No, but still, they don't have to use weird powers in order to defeat them. It's them doing it.
I agreed with your original point, but I do not agree with that argument.
Really?
No.
Elaborate.
Because the focus and skill required to use the Force at all, let alone accurately and
I
effectively,
guess.
requires about the same amount of training as operating on a battlefield without Force powers. The problem is that there are known ways to counter the Force. And Jedi especially are not usually trained in what to do when the Force fails them. Which is why the Mandalorian Wars were so devastating to the Jedi. Because as soon as the Mandalorians realized that if you use a slug thrower instead of a blaster, they stop being able to deflect things properly.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you have all these Jedi who don't know how to counter these other attacks. They've never had to do that before.
And a slug thrower is basically a regular gun, right?
Yeah, it's a proper kinetic ammunition.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which basically will just explode as soon as you hit it with a lightsaber, and then all you get is a bunch of bullet shrapnel to the face, which is
it's
so
not gonna
much
work out.
better than getting
It's not gonna
shot.
work out that well.
I mean, it's probably better than getting shot, but if you do it often enough,
to
it's
the
bound to
face,
do
yeah.
some damage.
Yeah, I'm like, dude.
So the main problem is that they are trained in only use of the Force.
Yeah.
Sith have a lot less of a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because they are large, especially in the Old Republic. Most of their fighting is done with other Sith as they try to, increase in power.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, when you're fighting other people who might be more powerful in the Force than you,
Mm-hmm.
it turns out you need to learn how to do other things.
That's true. That's true.
So that but also, have you played the Sith Inquisitor storyline in SWTOR?
I haven't played SWTOR in so long.
Uh,
I need a computer that can actually run it. I mean, I can get like the I can probably boot camp that.
The Inquisitor storyline, one of the things that you do apparently to just increase your power is you show up to a bunch of places, just absorb a bunch of Force ghosts.
Okay.
I'm sure that goes great.
I'm sure.
Actually, you slowly start going insane because there's several very powerful foreign entities walking around inside your head that aren't very happy to be there.
I bet, yeah. It's like, let's go smoke some ghosts. That'll increase our power.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, the main thing that kind of annoys me about the Sith is that they get all these grand ideas about, like, a lot of them have this idea that they can do a quick and easy thing to get incredibly powerful.
But it's not.
And then they're all shocked when side effects exist.
Yeah, I'm like,
Like,
oh my
what
God.
did you think was going to happen?
I didn't know I'd have all these voices in my head. All I want to do is smoke some ghosts. That's all I wanted.
It's like, oh yeah, my great grandfather is now very annoyed at me and also in my brain. It just doesn't make sense.
So basically, everyone has issues.
Oh, I mean, that's just true in general.
That's just true.
Everyone's got issues.
One more question. So what's the deal with the T-visor? Because it seems like that's really important to Mandos.
We went over this before. The T-visor is supposed to be
Oh yeah,
for the Tong had their physiology.
Okay, and it's a heritage thing.
Yeah, well, the Tong had it presumably because that was just what fit their face better. And
But
then as they
Mandos
started, because the Tong started adopting humans, essentially. That's just
how they did.
They just did. The Zell, that was the other species on Coruscant. Zhell.
Zhell.
I don't know if we ever seen any pictures of them actually.
Here's a Zell Mystic.
That's a graybeard from Skyrim.
Oh, okay. It was on Star Wars, so let me see. Is that a Zell?
No, those are Tong.
Yeah, they're not showing pictures here. Bear in mind, people were just looking for a picture of Zell.
I don't think we have any. However, I do have the only translated portion of Doar de Verda, the original.
Okay.
If it will load. Any day now.
You're going to try and find it on my phone, you can. Because mine's connected to the Wi-Fi. Bear in mind.
There we go. Doar de Verda. All right. Well, there's the whole bit in. Okay, here we go. Oh, yes, because also there's lovely descriptions of volcanic doom. Okay, there we go. So this is the 9th chapter, which is the only part that's actually been fully translated thus far. And so upon his pyre burned the doom of Ulmarra, and the warrior band stood as ragged as bandits in zigzag lines of mourning. With the dawn, the flat-faced Zell would come, cackling and howling, oozing mirth and tricks, and find the shade of the doom departed and the tongs unprotected. And so with the dawn would our woe be revealed. Our once bright armaments would become stacked grave goods, trophies for Zell children. Our flesh would become smoke given to uncaring gods, and the sky would forget our names. With death upon him, Rexutu the Unconquerable, prepared to be stripped of all by his enemy, but vowed that his honor would be the last to be torn away. And so the Unconquerable gathered his kinsmen and his oath-girdings alike. They polished their fearsome helms that they might flash even in the weak sun of Notron. They rewrapped the hilts of their weapons and pounded straight the shafts that they might slake their thirst in Zell Icor a final time. Assembled, they ascended in taut Tong lines, the high place where the Reaver had staked his standard before it was cast down into the mire. They gazed out over the gathering places and walking ways of Great Zell, where they scaled peak and cradled valley, the line of lights ordering the night. They unfurled the Tong banner, reversed, a reckless thing snapping in the dark, awaiting Zell eyes. And they performed ceremonies of leave-taking, for now they had died to the world and must be remade among the stars.
That's so badass.
When the dawn came, the Zell awakened and saw the Tongs upon the high place and were afraid, for the morning light caught the glint of helms and weapons and created phantom warriors made of dazzle and distance. But the cleverest of them were not deceived and saw how few we were. And so they assembled without haste, merry in mockery, and prepared to march. And in the high place we awaited death. But then came a shaking of the ground, and the sun's wan light was eclipsed by a bright and terrible fire that exploded from the rock. The patterns of Great Zell shivered and broke. And after this came darkness, as the very air turned to black ash. The Zell fell on their faces in terror, and from the high place we ran in haste to meet them, and we were cloaked in shadow. The Maker had come to unmake, and the Tongs would be his instruments.
That is so cool.
So basically,
that is so dope.
This is how the Tongs snatched victory from the jaws of defeat on their homeworld. The Zell were absolutely destroying them. And they gathered up the last they could and figured, you know what, we might as well die in battle.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, a super volcano kind of erupted.
As one normally would.
And this is how they took the name Shadow Warriors.
Okay.
That was, I mean, it's chilling.
That's very intimidating.
It's well written. And just imagine, there are 400 verses of that. Oh boy.
How much do I have to pay to memorize all 400 verses?
Well, we don't have it all. That's all we have.
Come on, Disney, translate the whole damn thing.
Well, no, it's Karen Travis. Someone yell at her.
Karen Travis, please.
I'm sorry, Karen Travis. I love you so much.
Please do this. This would be so great.
I just want the rest of it. It would be such a good book.
That'd be so dope.
But yeah, it's we know that there are 10 verses. No, 10 chapters, 400 verses. That was the full 9th chapter.
Mm-hmm. Jeez.
Yeah. It's
Disney really has to do more to flesh out Mandalorians.
Well, I think one of the problems that they're going to run into is that, for example, that you're not going to be able to put in a TV show.
I mean, at least in the books or something. Just
do they run the books?
Well, at least recanonize everything so there's no more BS.
I don't care what's
anymore.
Canon or not. I don't care.
Yeah,
it's canon to me.
As far as I'm considering, he's canon.
Yeah,
he's canon. That's fine. I don't care.
Canon. Fight me. He's canon.
I just love how Kathleen Kennedy was complaining. It's really hard to make these movies because there's no books or anything to draw inspiration from. I'm like, yeah, there is.
So
yeah, there is. You decanonized them all. Yeah. They just said, you know what? Everything but Clone Wars didn't happen. Screw you, asshole.
And so.
Oh, so anyway, after that enlightening conversation. That was a real deep dive into. I didn't know there was Mando's had such a rich culture.
They're very well written for a group that doesn't seem to show up very often.
For a group that started off in Star Wars canon as just some bounty hunter that had some really cool green armor.
Yeah,
it's funny.
He
Before
was originally supposed to be blue, wasn't he?
I have no idea. No, it was white.
Right.
And when he first showed up, it was white. Yeah, it's like you see this dude Boba Fett just standing out there looking cool. You thought it was just a cool dude in armor, but it turns out he's like from a race of warriors.
Yep.
Which, by the way, he was another character I think in the original trilogy they didn't really treat well because, I mean,
well, he was a background. He was meant to be a background character, and that's what he was.
Yeah, that's true.
There was enough going on in the trilogy.
Yeah.
That I feel like if they tried throwing in another character, it would have been too much.
I know. And they kind of did expand on him in the later stuff.
They did.
Didn't he become Mandalore?
He did. I don't have any real information on that because I think that was more comics stuff.
Probably, yeah.
And I have read none of the comics.
Mm-hmm. Right. Does every Mando have knee rockets?
No.
Oh, really? That was just Boba?
Yeah, as far as I know, it was just him.
Man, they really ought to adopt that. Because
but what happens if it goes off weird and it just like takes out your knee?
No. Think about it this way. You're in the middle of a battle where the Jedi, you're clashing like Mando did with Ahsoka Tano. You can't use your hands. You just go.
That was the other thing. When did Beskar become that invulnerable?
See, no. I will allow that because here's why. Because I read somewhere that in the beginning of the Mandalorian Wars, the Mandalorians had to adapt to fighting the Jedi. So it makes sense that they would create an armor that was virtually impenetrable to a lightsaber.
Actually, the thing that I heard as a reasoning for it was that most Mandos do not have pure Beskar armor.
Okay.
Because Beskar used to be has always been very hard to come by.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's only mined from Concord Dawn, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And since Beskar was not super easy to come by, you generally had to mix it with like some plasteel or whatever else, which, it would deflect a blaster bolt, but probably not a lightsaber.
I mean, let me put it this way. Din is the only one that we've seen that had, because remember, didn't they give him pure Beskar as a payment when he dropped off Grogu?
Yes.
It was in that.
Yeah,
so
that's when he got it.
That's understandable.
And
that
also,
that
we
would be the
saw
armor.
his original set of armor get absolutely
Destroyed.
shredded because that wasn't Beskar, that was plasteel.
Yeah, which okay.
Or Durasteel, one or the other.
So I guess it's understandable why his armor would be practically invulnerable.
Yeah, I guess. I just wish we got some clarification on
Because
that.
I remember specifically the Imperial guy going, "This is pure Beskar." So I was like, "Oh, okay, I can understand that."
Yeah, for sure.
So okay, another question: how do actually two more questions? So can they choose? Do they choose to like have the little eye thing that comes up and down?
I
The
mean,
antenna?
it really depends on if you want a rangefinder or not.
All right,
I imagine that's personal preference.
probably. And then how do the whistling birds work? Do you know?
You have no idea how many debates about this I've had over the last couple of weeks.
Really?
Okay, so we've got a couple of options.
All right.
Option A, they're in some way heat-seeking.
But wouldn't they hit Mando? Because he's
Option
generating
B,
heat.
you remember how in Rebels, Sabine had that thing that she made that specifically targeted Beskar, and then she reprogrammed it to specifically target not Beskar?
Could be.
It could be that it is specifically targeted to whatever armor the Imperials use.
Yeah, because I was about to say, if it's just anyone who's not wearing Beskar, then it would hit.
Yeah, exactly. But
the
so loosely speaking, magnetized, I guess. I'm
but
more
then it would hit her
inclined...
because she was carrying a sniper rifle.
No, I'm saying magnetized. You know, like drawn to that particular kind of metal.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Magnetized. I don't know if it's magnetic or not.
That'd be cool though.
So can you imagine just fly over a battlefield with a big ass magnet on the trip?
That's something that would happen to Stormtroopers.
I love it.
That would be so good. The Rebel Alliance is like, this is all we needed.
So, you know, there's that, which is honestly the main thing, and I've heard this pointed out so many times. I'm sure you've seen it as well. These are very rare, so don't use them wastefully. And so my thoughts on why he's using him every other episode is either there's multiple stacked, you know, above each other.
Probably.
He's got a certain number of
That's
charges.
what I would imagine.
Other option, what we don't see in the show, is the several hours he spends after the fact trying to pick him up. Just with some little tweezers.
He's just going around. Okay, so who did I hit with this? He's going around every dead body. Okay, so who did I hit with the whistling birds?
Grogu, later. I gotta find these.
He's like, Grogu, help me find these whistling birds. Don't get blown up. I just love where he's having Grogu.
I know that's not how it works, but I want that to be how it works.
I just love while on the subject of Grogu, that one episode where it starts off with Grogu in the little compartment in the ship, and he's telling him how to fix
the thing that made me so happy about that is 100% how Mandalorians raise their kids.
Yeah, it was. It seems like that because of how utilitarian they seem to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like you're small enough to get in there.
Well, that's part of the reason, because one of the main things about Mandalorian culture is, on one hand, they've got a really solid amount of like proper gender equality. Like their language does not have gendered pronouns at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no he, she, it's just people. That's it. So even like verbally, they don't have a distinction between male and female. On the other hand, they have, to a certain extent, established gender roles. They're not strictly enforced. Like if a girl wants to run off and go hunting with the guys, no one's gonna stop her. That's fine.
Yeah.
But mostly centered around the fact that since women are by default the ones having the children and are therefore going to be out of commission for a fair amount of time, it is generally expected that they do the raising until the kid is old enough to go hunting. If the child is a boy, they will start training with their father after the age of 8. And if the child is a girl, they will continue training with their mother. That's generally the way it's expected to work, though, again, no one's going to stop anyone that says otherwise. But I do find that pretty interesting in that since the women are the ones doing, frankly, the more important parts of the training, because the training you get as a young child is really going to determine how well you handle training in your older years. The women are expected to be very capable.
Mm-hmm. I'd imagine that.
Because if they're not, then who's going to be defending the clan exactly?
Again, it's like ancient Sparta, because even the women were trained to a degree. So if the army was ever wiped out, there'd be some line of defense.
And so I do think I like the idea that they've got, traditional is not the right word to use, but I like the idea that there are established roles without them they seem like perfectly reasonable reactions to me.
Yeah.
Like, if you're God forbid, no one's going to let a pregnant girl go out into the field fighting. It's not going to happen. She's pregnant.
Like mound on the stomach. It'd be so great.
Oh no, it's just not going to happen.
She can mount a minigun on top of the thing. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? She's like, hold on.
Oh yikes! Oh yikes! Yikes on bikes. That was bad.
Hey, you can rest the minigun on the stomach and just go.
Sure. Sure. But yeah, no, I do think I think that's kind of an important point with them, is that they put a lot of stock into individuality.
Yeah, it's true.
And everyone gets to kind of decide for themselves how they want to contribute to the clan, but contributing to the clan is not optional.
That's true. You have to contribute.
You've got a lot of ways to do it.
We don't care how.
You're gonna have to pick one.
We don't care how, but carry your weight.
Even in the RP guilds that I've been in, there was one of my very favorite Mandos, near and dear to my heart. I loved her to death. She actually ended up a lore of her clan. No. This wasn't my character.
Okay.
Oh no, Chev was not a proper Mando when I knew it.
Okay.
No, she got disowned. Actually, she became Darmanda. It absolutely destroyed her. That did not go well for her. But Nansel was a proper Mando, and she did a fair amount of bounty hunting and fighting. She actually kind of joined Imperial Special Forces for a while.
Dope.
Kind of just, she actually formed just like a Mando unit that operated under the Empire's purview, which I thought was pretty neat. And you know what her side job was?
What?
Florist. When she wasn't busy knocking heads, she was hanging out at home arranging flowers.
Wow.
It made her so happy. And honestly, I think that's really great.
You can do whatever you want.
A productive pursuit in your life. Okay?
You don't have to be a warrior, so that's actually pretty cool.
And I really like that she got to be a warrior and a florist. I liked that idea.
It'd be even great if all of her thermal detonator grenades were in the shape of flowers.
I'll bring that up to her.
That'd be dope.
I'll bring that up. She doesn't play from Nansel anymore because Nansel's story is kind of over. But I'll have to bring that up to her.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, no, there's just so much possibility with Mandos, because no Mandos are alike.
Yeah, there's so much.
The Jedi and the Sith, there's only so much variation you can get because of how strict their philosophy is.
That's also why I like Mando so much, is because there's so individual, even with the clones, because even though they looked alike, they're pretty different people. Like Cody and Rex are not the same guy.
I'm not.
Although there's more so with Mandos.
On the calling the clones honorary Mandos thing.
Not honorary Mandos. I'm just saying that it's the same idea about how each one is unique, pretty much.
Well, even then, again, since they're clones, they also only have so much variation.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's just you can be anything as a Mando. Yeah. You don't even really need, you need to be able to fight and willing to fight if you have to defend yourself or your clan.
Yeah, but
you are more than welcome to hang around at your clan and just be a chef.
That works.
If you want to be a chef, be a chef.
That's great. I love that.
That just means everyone else can go do the hunting and they don't have to worry.
That's called freedom. Hey, Jared, you want to go on the hunt? Later, I'm cooking stew.
It's just like, do you want to go on the hunt? No, I want you to bring me back the results of the hunt so I can cook it.
I love that. That's so great.
Bye.
There was this Mando.
You know the other great thing about Mandalorian language real quick?
What?
The Mandalorian word for hello is Sukoigar, which translates to you're still alive.
I'm using that one. I'm going to use that one. That's so great.
And I just really like that. Just like the automatic hello. You're still alive.
Oh, God. Can you imagine Hannah saying that? But So anyway, there was this Mando that was just, so in Knights of the Old Republic 2, there's that part where you show up an entire like settlement of Mandalorians on Duxon. So there's this one, the Mandalorian quartermaster hates me. It's like I show up, he's like, "What are you doing here?" Because I'm a Jedi, so it's kind of understandable.
Yeah.
Even after Mando says I'm good, but the guy's like, "Mando may say it's okay for you to be hanging out, but I freaking hate you."
Well, I mean,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Just because he's not technically allowed
I
to
beat
hurt you.
I beat everyone in your battle circle. What are you talking? What do I have to do for you people?
That doesn't mean he likes you. That just means he knows he's not going to win a fight against you.
I try my best to
That
get
just
the
determines how much how unlikely he is to try to kill you.
All right, well I got that.
That doesn't
I'm not
determine
gonna
how
get
much he
killed.
likes you.
I'm not gonna get shanked. By the way, I saved your life, Tick. I do in the game because Seth eventually show
anyone
up.
could have done that.
But I did. But I know everyone could have done it. But did anyone else but me do it? No, they were all being killed by Sith.
Well, that's another thing though with their culture is that so you've got the Mandoid, which is the children of Mandalore. That is the people, the actual Mandos.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got Darmanda,
Mm-hmm.
which are people that were Mandos and are
Okay.
now not Mandos. Obviously, this is a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the Areti.
Correct.
Those are people that were never Mandos.
Mm-hmm.
They are by default without a soul. You do not owe them anything.
Okay, that makes sense.
So some Jedi shows up thinking he's hot shit. And yeah, you don't owe him respect just because he beat up a few people.
All right, there you go.
He still doesn't have a soul. He's still not really a person.
I guess. I guess. But that is kind of interesting on the whole contribute thing, because that does get featured in KOTOR, because to recruit Mandalore to come with me on my journey, I have to do like his errands around the base. He's like, okay, so
I mean, that's kind of a feature of all video games, though.
Go help him. But what I'm saying that in the context of what you just said of everyone contributes, that makes a lot of now that there's a reasonable explanation besides the video game wanted you to.
Yeah, no, it's going to take a lot for a non-Mando. No, it's going to take a lot for a Mando to trust an Areti. It's going to take a lot no matter what. Because anybody that's not raised within the clans does not have the same concept of honor, which means you can't trust them not to stab you in the back.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's probably true, yeah.
So even if you think they're the most honorable of people, they're still... You still don't know.
I guess so. That makes sense.
Well, even a Mando from a clan you hate is better than someone that isn't a Mando at all. Because at least a Mando will look you in the eye when they kill you.
I love how many of Mando...
At least they'll do it honestly.
I love how many of Mando expressions involve like death and stuff. That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
They're a very up people.
I mean, actually their colloquialism for death is not gone, just marching far away.
That sounds pretty cool.
So, you know.
That's pretty badass. All right. That's all the time we got. We've been going for pretty much 2 hours. Jeez. Wait,
I've got more.
When you said you knew about Mandos, you knew about Mandos.
Oh, yeah. No, I could keep going.
All right. Tell us more stuff.
Later.
All
another
right.
time. We
All right,
gotta save
another
some for
episode.
later.
We'll do it on another
We'll do the
episode.
Chiss Ascendancy or the Sith or something.
Well, Charlotte, always a pleasure.
Pleasure to be here.
All right, everyone. Have a good night. And remember, Han shot first.